Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Let's take another look here at Solana, see what's going on here. We can see we did not essentially create that range that we were hoping for, which keep in mind Bitcoin has and still is. So that's a very good sign in the overall sense of the market. But Solana essentially is breaking down. This could actually be a very good sign too, because it seems like a pretty distinct bull flag type of pattern that we're seeing here. And that is something we want to pay attention to. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, even if you've been watching for a while, deeply appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us here. What we like to do at first is kind of get perspective on the overall trend with the back-end data here with liquidation and kind of go from there. And while you're here, don't forget to hit the like button. If you could, please help us grow the channel, get us in front of more people so we can hopefully get less people destroyed by the market. Because again, I'm fairly conservative with my trades, make sure we always try to trade effectively. Speaking of conservative, take a look at this conservative trade. This is a 5x leverage trade from Near Protocol on Saturday. We hit 48%, 3 targets in roughly 24 to 48 hours. So awesome stuff. That was a trade setup there, got in about $4.50. Okay, cool. All right, so thanks again for the feedback there. Let's take a quick look at the liquidation data here for Solana. We can see a lot of some late shorts as soon as the price came up to attempt its double top there, rejected at about 150. Price has been pulling back ever since. We can see a lot of shorts there in the 150 to 154 range. We can also kind of see with the bigger picture here. Let's zoom in a little bit here for you. We can see there's some outliers. We've got 140/139. There's roughly 2 billion in liquidation there. And then we could say there's approximately 2 billion at 150 to 152, and then another approximate 1 billion at about 153. So the key takeaway here is that there's more liquidation closer to the lower price section here, and there's a good chance the price could sweep that lower level of 140 before it takes off. That coincidentally is that 0.5 fib level that I've had my eye on for a while at 141. So this would be a solid consideration for entry. Keep in mind Bitcoin is performing fairly well. And if we compare Solana to Bitcoin, you could say Solana sold off a lot more than it should have. And it's not really a great situation. Let's go ahead and put this alert up here a little higher. And again, kind of just pay attention to what's going on. So let's quickly note a couple of things here first of all on the daily, and kind of see if the macros telling us anything like indicative. Because once more weekends kind of they'll change things a little bit because there's generally low volume. We didn't see a super low amount of volume. Obviously, we got a lot more volume here today so far already. But the key takeaway here is that this weekend was, a lot of altcoins absorbed some Bitcoin dominance, and we could see Bitcoin dominance pulling back now. Okay, that's generally favorable for altcoins. So I do foresee altcoins continuing to surge sporadically moving forward. And obviously the question we get a lot is Solana going to be one of those? Well, with this bull flag pattern holding strong, I think that's a good sign. Let's quickly actually draw out some new fib levels here just for the sake of this conversation to see how the pullback might look if it were to. And what I'll do is I'll post new playout charts on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. If you're not familiar, it looks something like this. Make sure you don't trust anything else. There's a lot of imposters out there, and unfortunately, scammers are 110% present in the crypto market. So always two-factor authentication and verify your accounts. Make sure you are staying as safe as you possibly can. My YouTube channel got hijacked recently, for example, and I feel like I'm fairly safe in what I do. Again, stuff happens, folks, right? So the important thing is not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it, right? At this point, same thing goes with trading. If you respond well to the bad trade, you don't revenge trade, you're going to be much better off. So let's see here. The daily time frame, we got to recognize there is some fair value as low as 135. So I'd say worst case scenario, if 140 is retested, we may see 135. That would be a best case scenario. So me personally, if I were to consider getting in here, I would say 141 is a good entry, and secondary to that, maybe like 136. Maybe we have 2 average entries for a long. That's just a rough estimate, spitballing from here. Things are going to totally change between now and then if that were to happen. Just keep in mind. But either way you look at it here, we can see our stochastic RSI is swinging down for the second time. That does carry more weight than the first. Generally speaking, we should experience the price action to pull back a little bit further. Again, a lot of it hinges on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin takes a run towards 66K, that doesn't matter, okay? But if Bitcoin continues to range like it should for at least another 24 to 48 hours, we should see Solana pull back a little bit. We are over 50 on the RSI, that's good. Money flow index pulling back, that's not great. That implies in the last 14 days, we've seen less volume coming into this coin. So if you look at the MACD, you can kind of see here we're swinging down as well. And if we look at the 4-hour time frame, we're also seeing a lot of divergences here. Okay, now this is standard and normal for a situation like this here. So at this point, what I want to look at is the RSI. We're good at 50, but also potentially breaking below. Keep in mind we could drop below if we lose that. If you look at Solana's history, whenever you're under 50 on the RSI, the price generally goes down. Okay, so we might see further downside here. I would be patient. I would much rather wait for a better entry on Solana than to kind of FOMO in right now. I don't feel like Bitcoin is going to surge right now, but again, stranger things can happen. It is looking like it's holding pretty good here. So once more, it's really up to you. If you want to get some skin in the game, of course, get a little bit of a trade in there. But generally speaking, most things here are pointing down on the 4 hour. That's generally not favorable. Whereas Bitcoin is not exuding that behavior exactly. While it's shifting its momentum, it's still above a lot of important levels. So having said that, though, we lost the 20-day SMA, and we are tentatively above all others. Good news is all the moving averages are right there at that 139 to 140 range. So we're seeing a lot of confluence at 140, 141. So to me, again, that just seems like a practical area to get in. Now keep in mind, I have my Elliott wave pulled up here. This is not official by any stretch. If you're watching other people that show you Elliott wave patterns and that's all they do, I wouldn't trust it. You need to diversify and use more than just that. However, in this case here, again, it's always in motion, right? So we can take the consideration here, as long as we don't go any lower than this first wave, then it's still in play. So hypothetically, we don't break below 138 as a rough estimate, then I'm confident we're going to probably see at least one more leg up from Solana. And again, this bull flag pattern, a lot of reasons why we are more likely to see the price increase versus decrease at this point. So it might be something like this here where the price action just ranges. We might even see just one more retest and then a takeoff, something like that. Either way we look at it, we look at the Ichimoku cloud, this is also going to confirm that we've broken moderately bearish on the shorter term time frames. You got to keep in mind, range-bound activity can cause unique results, so is same with weekends. But at this point here, we're below the cloud, conversion lines below the baseline, and the lagging spans kind of within the price action. That generally is construed as a no-buy zone, okay? So that goes for both long and short, okay? So until we break in either direction, there's no reason to consider a trade. Once more, I know it seems like you want to kind of get in because everything's pumping, and hypothetically you could have some success at this point, but there's some weakness here on the shorter term timeframes. And if you look at this and you compare it with Bitcoin, every time Bitcoin pulls back, Solana pulls back super hard, and when Bitcoin shoots up, so to speak, we're seeing a moderate to mild continuation to the upside. So honestly, until we break this descending trend here, there's no reason to consider a long position. That's really just the truth of it. But again, I know a lot of folks like to get in early, and as I mentioned before, getting into 141, that makes sense because there's a lot of support of that range. But just like right now at this exact moment, just trying to buy in because Bitcoin's having a good hour doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a good call. So anyways, I'm just patient. I'd much rather wait for an opportunity that doesn't happen, which is very likely here, versus jumping in, FOMOing into a trade that doesn't work out. Okay, so again, heads up on that. All right, folks, I hope I made sense and I clarified this correctly. Please do not forget to hit the like button on every video that you watch of mine. I deeply appreciate that. It helps to get this in front of more people. So, ideally, less moon boys get the views. And, there's some sensibility in trading. Because, again, trading cryptocurrency should not be a get-rich-quick scheme. If that's what you think it is, you're in the wrong area. I know there's some folks trading with millions of dollars and they're very successful, but not everyone can do that. It takes balls of steel to do that. Me personally, I don't like to risk that much. I'm fairly well risk averse. So for example, with our near protocol trade, that was a 5x leverage trade, folks. At most, I 10x leverage Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I 5x everything else. So if you want to survive the market, that's probably a good recommendation. Anyways, you've heard it a million times. I'm sorry. I'm a broken record, but I got to say it over and over again because not only does it take a while to learn these things, but a lot of new members coming over, and I like to make sure that they're well educated too. Thanks again. Either way, hope you all have a good rest of the day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.